Would you agree we need to expand the library? We're going to be a little bit cozy, but you guys are lucky. The 4:30 session was much more crowded. I think we counted 77 people that were here. We can't seat that many people, but we did. Actually, a lot of them were standing, more than there are now. So, we're going to get started very quickly, but first, if you're able to, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That puts us in the right frame of mind of why we're here. We have candidates here for positions of mayor, for Ward 1, Position 2, for Ward 2, Position 2, for Ward 3, Position 2. When you go to vote, you will vote for 4 candidates. 1 for each of the wards, 1 for mayor. We have 2 people running for Ward 1. We have 3 people for Ward 2 and 3 people for Ward 3. And of course, 2 people for mayor position. We're going to begin by asking each of our candidates to spend about 2 minutes, probably no more than that, introducing themselves. And we'll start with Peter Christie.
Thank you, Susan. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here. It's very important that everybody participates in this process. So, thanks. Thank you for hosting this, and thanks to Bailey, who's running around probably putting up fires, for also hosting it this evening. I've been your mayor for 4 years. We've done a lot of good stuff, and there's even more to come. We're working right now on a 5-year plan for capital improvements. In there is a police station that we desperately need. For those of you who have taken the Citizens Police Academy, you know the type of shape it's in. That's an old POA building. It was never designed to be a police station. And contrary to some rumors, it's not a $15 million thing. We don't even know how much it's going to cost. We've just awarded a needs assessment to Hyde Jackson, which is a local architectural firm, to do a 3-month study and tell us what do we need and how much is it, et cetera, et cetera. And the budget in the end will dictate what it's going to be, and of course it all has to flush through council. I've spent 33 years in the corporate world, and soon after I decided to make this run for the mayor, I spent 8 months prepping myself and getting ready for it before the election. I turned to my wife, Connie, who's here this evening, and said to her, it's almost as if I have been groomed for this throughout my whole corporate experience. I've been in sales, finance, services. My last job was a vice president of services with NCR, which is National Cash Register, on the infamous Walmart account. That's how we ended up here, as does, I think, just about everybody else. I looked after a P&L that was a 9-digit one. I can't tell you the number because I'm still under a restricted agreement. But it was a very, very sizable amount, and I was responsible for the performance of 2,000 employees. And if there's one thing that you must always do is engage your employees, delight your customer, which is all of us, and you, because simply satisfying is not enough. You have to grow your revenue, and you have to expand your margin, which is a polite way of saying watch your expenses. And most of all in this job, doesn't matter which job, it's the same for all of us, you must be very good, fiscally responsible stewards of taxpayer money. That is a must all the way through. So we have a lot of things ahead of us in the future. I'm excited. I'm ready to go for another 4 years. And I do have the blessing of Connie to do that as well, but she said not a third term, no way. So with that, I'll pass the torch. Thanks again for coming.
Hello. You can walk. Thank you. My name is Chris Narlock, and I'm running for mayor of Bella Vista. In spite of the rumors on social media, I'm not going to shut down all the trails and run all the businesses out of town. I do feel the rate of growth in Bella Vista is already out of hand, and our roads simply can't keep up. Within the next decade, the population of northwest Arkansas is en route to grow by another 500,000 people. And this will destroy any sense of the small town notion people may have of Bella Vista. I am not a fan of this. My family moved here to get away from crime-ridden cities and ghettos. Yet people throughout northwest Arkansas, perhaps out of ignorance, seem determined to bring all of that here and have been. Over the past 4 years, our city has invested heavily in the fire and police departments in an attempt to keep up with the pedal-to-the-metal growth rate imposed on us. They are now looking at a building which is, what was it, $10 to $14 million?
There's no price tag, Chris.
Well, that's the price tag I've seen. Anyway,
You haven't been to a council meeting, how would you know?
they wouldn't listen to me anyway. And have finally decided to get serious about the roads. And you'd think that this was a good thing, but no. It is simply so that they can continue flooding our city. And with all of this, they seem to completely ignore the fact that we have low sales tax Missouri to the north and cosmopolitan Bentonville to the south, which when combined with Cooper communities creates a bad environment for businesses. Perhaps instead of continuous population growth and ever-expanding departments, we could shift some of our resources into helping small businesses and working with people who are already here, instead of inviting in the world and laying waste to people's privacy by cutting through common property without so much as a vote and hoping for the best. And stop ignoring regulations which have serious consequences, like the road that collapsed, which was completely preventable, and the stump dump fires. Again, my name is Chris Narlock. I have a wife, a son, 2 dogs, 2 cars, a house, and a full-time job. I've been self-employed, I've been a manager, and I've just became the owner of a nonprofit organization in Florida. I am 27 years old, and thank you, and God bless.
Hello, my name's John Flynn. I'm the only person running for re-election to City Council this time around. I moved to Northwest Arkansas in 1996. I moved to Bella Vista in 2005. I'm married to Linda Flynn, and I have 3 adult children. As to my city experience, I've been on City Council 4 years. I've been Mayor Pro Tem 4 years, which means I take over for the mayor whenever he's out of town. I've been chairman of the Streets Committee for 4 years. I was added on to the Advertising and Promotions Commission in 2018. There's 2 councilmen on that. It's a 7-member commission. Since I was elected to City Council, there's been 90 City Council meetings or work sessions, and I attended 89. So I've had a really good record, I think, of working for the city. In my work experience, I currently teach part-time at University of Arkansas. I teach finance in graduate school, and I teach business law. In my prior employment, I was a corporate attorney for over 30 years. I was general counsel of 3 different corporations, and I was on the legal staff of 2 Fortune 500 corporations. On education, I have a bachelor's in economics from John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio area. I have a law degree from Case Western Reserve, which is in Cleveland, and an MBA in finance from Case Western Reserve. My philosophy of city government is that you should always try to do what is in the best interest of the citizens of the city. And also, you should do what the majority of the citizens would like to have done. I'm a fiscal conservative, and I believe what the citizens want is to have high-quality services and yet not have too high a price and too high taxes. So that's what I aim to accomplish. Why am I seeking this post? I was on City Council for 4 years. I enjoyed working with Mayor Christie and the council very much, and I'm looking forward to accomplishing even more in the next 4 years. Also, I feel like my background in law and finance is pretty much ideal for this kind of position, and it's a good skill set to be able to contribute to the community. So I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. It's really nice to see this community involved with this city level, and I think overall Benton County is going to see maybe not a record number of voters, but we're already seeing about 23,000 people vote within the first week. So I think that's awesome. And there's 24,000 registered voters in Bella Vista, so hopefully the goal would be about 50 to 60% come out and vote. I want to say thank you for my mom and dad coming out tonight, and my friends Callie and Emily are here in attendance also, so thank you. I was born in California in 1993, and my family moved here in 1994, so I've been here for 24 years, and I'm in just in love with Bella Vista, and I want to keep moving Bella Vista in the right direction and see what we can do in this great city. We've gone over 30,000 people now, and I just love keeping people informed of what's going on in the city. When I'm out at events like the farmers market or even on social media, that's a good tool. But going door to door these past couple of weeks, or past couple of months, I'm sorry, has been great. Just getting to know more people that already did from Walgreens in my 7 years there. I brought great customer service to them, to my customers, and I can bring that customer service to my constituents and to the residents. And I just want to bring better economic development within the city, and I think I can help with the city doing that, and infrastructure, and I want to increase volunteerism within the city also, and just bring 100% transparency and just get people involved with our great city, Bella Vista. And I appreciate your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christian Henning. I'm running for the Ward 2 council seat. I've been here in Bella Vista since October of 2008, so 10 years this month. It's my favorite place by far that I've lived. I was raised in a military family, so we moved around every 2 years. This is the only place that I can truly call home, and I wouldn't choose anywhere else. Some of the nicest people here, and that's one of the reasons I plan on staying here for at least for the foreseeable future. I'm the commander of the Sons of the American Legion in Bentonville, previously the commander in Rogers. Managed budgets there of large amounts, managed groups of volunteers, and also helped our veterans, which I believe is pretty important. I'm also an Eagle Scout. This building is important to me because my Eagle Scout project was done here. It is no longer here, but I built recycling bins that were moved out quite a few years ago. So it was nice to contribute to the city in that way. My 3 main points for my campaign are community involvement. You can't understand the people and what they want if you don't interact with them. Just a quick show of hands real quick. Do you know both of your councilmen or women in your ward by first name at all? All right, so we got one hand. I think you should know, even if you have one interaction a year, that's important. You should have some sort of a connection with them rather than just phone number and email. My second thing is infrastructure improvements. We have people living on unpaved roads. That's not acceptable for a city of 30,000 people. We've made great strides, but we can always do better. And then the third thing is bringing in businesses. We do need to keep the tax rate low, and we need to control our growth, but we need a hotel, car wash, we need a movie theater back, and places to eat. We're losing tons of money to other cities. When there's plenty of opportunities here, it's a work in progress, but there's plenty of opportunities for that. So I appreciate you guys coming out, and appreciate the library putting this on, and hopefully your support on November 6th.
Hello, everyone. Thank you also for caring for Bella Vista and its future, and for showing up here tonight to join us. My name is Brent Steinspring, and like you, I care very much about Bella Vista and its residents. That's why I'm running for city council, and I'm an ordinary person just like you, and I feel that there are needs in our community that I believe I'm qualified to be able to serve. And I believe I can serve that best by being a member of the City Council. I've been an educator for 18 years and a realtor for 10 years. Both professions require dedicated service to the needs of individuals, as well as frequent problem solving and clear communication. My professional and personal qualities have made me instrumental to the success of complex community improvement projects, such as the outdoor learning areas at Cooper Elementary, several of which were led by Scout projects, not necessarily yours, but greatly appreciate the volunteer efforts. But part of my role was organizing those efforts and helping to create some profound areas for our students. As well as I've contributed to our world-class trail system. Our community is unlike most. We lack the typical landscape and infrastructure, yet we have multiple governing bodies with various roles, regulations, and limitations. What might be straightforward and relatively simple for other communities to complete winds up being a monumental task for us to undertake. Consider our trail development. It was something our community has wanted for years, yet even when outside funds were offered to foot the bill, it took legal professionals, innovative thinkers, and creative problem solvers to make it happen. I believe it's time for Bella Vista to tackle the challenge of our economic development. We already have the first component, people coming into our area ready to spend their money. Now we need to find desirable ways to create opportunities for people who are willing to spend their money here, including residents as well as those that are visiting. Our topography can be used as an advantage to create unique shopping, dining, and lodging opportunities unlike any other area in Northwest Arkansas. I've learned a great deal over the last 10 years working on various community improvement projects, and I believe the resulting experiences and partnerships will prove beneficial to the future development of Bella Vista. Thank you for the opportunity to earn your trust and support, and I look forward to addressing your questions this evening. Thank you.
My name is Larry Wilms. I've lived in Bella Vista for 13 years, moving down in 2005, right at the end of a huge growth spurt in Bella Vista. And in 2005, we issued just shy of 1,000 building permits in 1 year. Probably the biggest boom that the city has seen since Cooper started in 1965. So I understand growth, but I also understand the downside of that. And there was a glut of houses on the market. Many of them stood unfinished. It was impossible to buy them from the banks. My background, I'm a licensed civil engineer, a BS degree in civil engineering from the University of Platteville in Wisconsin. The equivalent of a master's from the University of Wisconsin in Marquette. I did not finish my thesis, so I did not get a sheepskin. But I have the education from that. I'm a licensed engineer in Arkansas, Wisconsin, and previously in Kansas. I'm a licensed water operator in Wisconsin and Arkansas. 21 years of experience serving local municipalities like Bella Vista as a consulting engineer. In that service, did a variety of projects, budgets, other things. I have 11 years of service as a city engineer and then an assistant. 13 years as a water utility manager. Of interest there is my utility had an operating budget of $14 million between water and sewer. So I understand large budgets and controlling the expenditures. Our capital budgets were in excess of that. Those were usually bonded. I have 4 years currently that I've been working at the City of Sunderton in the planning department as a technical reviewer of plan review. So we've seen huge growth in Sunderton. We've seen some increased growth in Bella Vista. There's different opportunities in all of the communities in Northwest Arkansas. Bella Vista probably is a little more compounded because we have a POA. Our revenues largely are from a sales tax, both city and county, that represents almost 56% of our revenue for local government here. Another almost 17% is from property tax. Property tax does not generate a huge amount of revenue for a community to operate their general government from. We have franchise fees to utilities, about 12%, and another 20% or so from other sources that come into the coffers, building permits and those kinds of things. My view is to help the city find ways for business development to occur in the city so that we can expand our sales tax base. Both Rogers and Bentonville, amongst others in the northwest part of the state, rely heavily upon sales tax as their primary source of revenue for their community. Bentonville, as an example, is over $750,000 a month that they take in sales tax. Rogers over $1 million. So that's huge revenue for a community to do things like pave roads, take care of parks, do other things in the city. So sales tax is a key to our future. How we get there is also important. Business development that generates sales tax is a key to that. And I support that. I think that our goal is to keep our tax rates low. Additional tax rates for our members in the community, either property tax or sales tax, is not beneficial to you unless you see something that the city government should do that would demand that for a sunset period. Sunset sales tax or sunset taxes are not bad if you have a specific goal in mind for it, because it goes away.
We need to wrap that up.
The last thing I wanted to say is that I do support the library expansion.
Hi, I'm Steve Burke. I'm running for Ward 3. I grew up in southeast Arkansas. I was the second of 4 brothers close together in age. We were raised by a single parent, my mom. It's pretty remarkable if you think about it. 4 rowdy boys close together in age. When I was 9 years old, my mother and my oldest brother was 10. My mother went out and bought a lawnmower. And she brought it home and she said, now you boys can go out in the neighborhood and you can mow yards and you can earn yourself some money. But the deal is, half of everything you make is coming back here until we get this lawnmower paid for. And so that was the deal for the next couple of years. When I was 12, I would take over the neighborhood paper route. And every day, 7 days a week, I would sit down and roll 85 papers, put the rubber band on, put them on my bike, and go throw newspapers to my neighbors. When I was 14, I upgraded. I got a job at the gas station, pumping gas and washing windshields, working my first hourly wage below minimum wage. When I was 15, I'd move up to minimum wage, $2.30 an hour, working at the grocery store, bagging groceries. And I tried to be the best bagger in the store. When I was 16, I'd move up again to make pizzas and wash dishes at the local pizza restaurant. And that served me well through high school. When it came time to go to college, I picked the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. And that's where I fell in love with Northwest Arkansas. In 4 years, I'd get a degree in information technology. And so for the last 36 years, I've been out in the corporate world. Most of that time spent leading teams, solving complex problems, managing large budgets. I became known as somebody who was good with money, frugal, even cheap. My wife will tell you I'm cheap. I squeeze a dollar pretty tight, and I would want you to know, if I'm spending taxpayers' money, I'd be as careful as if I were spending my own. If these are the kinds of work ethic and sensibilities that you feel like would make a good city councilor, I'd ask you to vote for me on November 6th.
The other two stood up earlier, so I suppose I better do the same thing. And I agree, the view is better. I'm Jack Kelly, my lovely little wife, Karen and I. We moved here 6 years ago from Tulsa. I retired from the city of Tulsa. I started out in fleet management. I was taking care of the fleet of everything in Tulsa. That's 3,000 pieces, including ground engaging equipment. I then went to the purchasing department. And Started as an assistant buyer, then senior buyer. And I would spend somewhere between $12 and $15 million taxpayers' money every year. And then went on to telecommunications radio services department for one of the largest public safety radio networks in this part of the United States. But Karen and I were both born in Oklahoma. We came over here 6 years ago. I have a bachelor's degree in management of human resources. And I'm a veteran. I was in the Oklahoma Air National Guard, United States Air Force. I belong to the American Legion. I volunteered in Habitat for Humanity for about 18 years. I was on the board of directors for 7 years. It's also an affiliate. They build about 30 houses a year, and I think they've leveled off about there. But they're a little bit bigger than Bella Vista. So, Karen and I have had the good fortune to be in all 50 states and 12 foreign countries. Most of that is by happenstance rather than design. But we very much being a part of Bella Vista, we're proud to call this our home. Like we put get your vote, get elected to this council, and help Bella Vista grow, prosper, and be a beautiful place in which all of us can live. And the municipality of Bella Vista, they have the idea of customer service. In any municipality, there's two customers. You and me, the residents. The other customer is the operating departments who, if the council takes care of them, they can take care of you. And we should be accountable to the public. We should be efficient. And hopefully that's what we will do. And of the jobs that I had in private industry, they cover engineering, marketing, administration, a whole lot of different places. I've had profit and loss responsibility. I'm also the guy that swept out once in a while. So I've done a lot of things. But having a broad background comes to play and is useful when you're on the city council. Because a municipality is a machine of a lot of moving parts. And if you know how and why they move and what it takes to help them do that, to serve you, we're in good shape. I look forward to you voting. Hopefully it will be for me. Thank you so much. Appreciate the library having this.
I'm going to stand up because I'm short. I also like the view here in front, so it's okay. I would like to let you know my name is J.B. Portello, and yes, I am female, in case you haven't figured that out. With a name like J.B., sometimes it's a little hard to tell. My husband and I have had property here in Bella Vista since 2005. I retired in 2013 and hit the ground running. I am an incredibly high energy person, and the first thing I did was to make absolutely sure that I saw everything that was possible here in ways to contribute. I have a bachelor's degree in business and economics with a concentration in accounting and finance. I have a master's work in management information systems. I'm kind of a techie person. I like that kind of thing. And I have a master's certificate in government contracting. And in my spare time, I am a consultant teaching people how to do business with the government. So that's kind of fun. It's not a nice subject, so you have to be very creative. I consider myself an agent of change. And what that means is I can help Bella Vista continue to transform itself. My 30 years of working experience comes in especially in developing and managing very large budgets, usually under fire. The kind of work I've been doing is government contracting, so I'm used to working with a flak jacket. Okay? I don't have trouble making decisions. I use that based on facts. And I have also had to spend a lot of my time in a room with 55 government auditors and be nice to them. I believe that Bella Vista is on a true upswing, and I'm not ready to give up yet. There's a lot of me left to go. I ask for your vote, and by the way, it's my birthday on November the 6th.
Okay. We're going to use the black hat for the mayors, and there are questions in here. We're going to let them draw it. Both candidates will answer the same question. Who's going to draw first? These are not the same questions they answered at the 4:30 session. We wanted to make a mistake.
Okay, the question is, for $500, please. What, if any, are your plans for growing Bella Vista? First of all, Bella Vista is really growing on its own, and I'll tell you why. Bentonville, Rogers, Springdale, Fayetteville have priced themselves out of the market for the ordinary person who wants to have a house. So they're coming north. We're also seeing people who lived in Bentonville with young families moving here because they can sell their house in Bentonville, do very well, and then they can get a larger house for their family up here. So the builders have noticed that. Our building permits are expanding every year. This year to date, we're around 220. Last year was 196. The year before that was under 100. So you can see that expansion. In order to get ready for that growth, we have to be prepared to manage it. We cannot let it manage us. So yes, we have expanded and spent $5 million over the past 4 years on the fire department. New equipment, a 4th firehouse, more firefighters. Why? Because there's a group called ISO. ISO governs the rating of a city, which will govern how much fire insurance you pay. So when I came to office, we were a 6. We brought in ISO last year, and we improved it to a 4. Connie and I saved about $120 on our insurance, and people are saving even more than that. The goal was to get to a 3, and that's why we're developing a 5-year plan right now for capital improvement. It includes some more for fire. We have expanded the police force. We are a very, very safe community. We do not have a lot of crime here. The crime that we do have, we are staying on top of. Plus, we need to prepare for the future. And finally, the street department, when I became mayor, I added $400,000 a year to resurfacing of the roads, so it's up to $1.2 million. We hired a company to tell us which roads are in trouble, because trying to fix roads on the premise of the squeaky wheel doesn't work. You've got to tackle it. Part of our 5-year plan is to add another $1.2 million on top of the 1.2 and get ahead of the roads. Finally, we have the library expansion. And I'm pleased to tell you that there is an alms box on the right as you're going out the door. Plus, the city has set aside $300,000 for furniture and other interior improvements. The way it works is the foundation actually owns the building and owns the land, and we own the operation. So I believe that $300,000 should help.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So there are many plans in place. I would encourage you to come to a planning session, a work session for city council, because that's where all the discussion is held. The staff members are in, and you can get the nitty-gritty. It's the third Monday of every month at the city courthouse, which is something else that's new, and it starts at 5:30. There are some exceptions. If it's close to a holiday month, such as December, check with City Hall, because we usually move everything up 1 week.
We need to cut you off.
And parade for the library.
We have a theme going, don't we? We have a theme going.
All right. Well, I'm not entirely against growth. I think growth is good. You should be safe. But affordable housing means something else to me, because in Pensacola, Florida, when I hear affordable housing, I think of bulletproof vest. And that's not what I want. I would also, the kind of growth that I would want is business related. I want to incentivize the businesses. I want to maybe make the police and fire departments more energy efficient with hydroelectric plants. I don't know the possibilities of doing something like that, but make it more efficient so that we can save money one place and put it somewhere else. And there are plenty of ideas floating around that I have and that others have, and that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Okay, Ward 1 gets a different question from everybody else.
I lobbied for using 430 questions, so it'd be a level playing field.
Nice try.
What do you see as the top issue facing, what do you see as the top issue facing Bella Vista? Well, Bella Vista has many challenges. I think one you have to put right near the top is the difficulty in getting more business in. We'd like to have more business to support our sales tax, and it's been quite a challenge for several reasons. One has to do with much of the business land being owned by a single party, and they're not always amenable to ideas the city might have. One has to do with, in certain areas, the availability of water. And I know the mayor's been working hard and the council's been working hard to overcome these problems, to solve these problems. And I'm confident we're headed in the right direction on that. But, you know, it is a challenge. But one thing I think is really important to keep in mind with Bella Vista, no matter what we do, we're always going to have relatively limited revenue compared to some of the big cities around us. So it's really, really important to be careful with your budget and not spend too much money. If you get ahead over your skis, there's not going to be any way to make it back up. And I always keep that in mind, everything we're doing with the city. And it's just something that you always have to keep track of. I'm proud of the fact that right now we've had a balanced budget the whole time, the whole 4 years, and we have $7 million in reserve. And I think Mayor Christie has done a great job, and I've been very supportive of the direction he's going. I know he's trying hard to get more business, get more expansion, and but you always have to keep that in the back of your mind. You don't want to get too far out with the spending, because we're always going to have to be a thrifty community. You know, the quality of life here is very high, but even with our having to be tough on the budget, and so that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I think is the #1 challenge.
Economic development is one of my platform topics, and I think it is a big challenge also, because if you want to bring more economic development within the city, that will increase the sales tax within the town, and where we can improve more streets year by year, I think that would be the top priority of our city right now. We just have to work hard with our economic development director, Travis Stevens, and with the other city staff and the mayor. Like the mayor said earlier, there is a lot of restrictions on Cooper Communities properties, and we just need to keep working with Cooper Communities to not make them develop that land, but just push them so Bella Vista can keep going in the right direction. I was able to meet with the vice president of Cooper Communities about a month and a half ago. We had a good discussion, and I didn't agree with everything that he said, and he didn't agree with everything I said, but that's okay. And I know when I come to residents and constituents, I'm not going to agree with everybody, and not everyone's going to agree with me, but that's okay. We'll work to get along and strive for a better Bella Vista.
Ward 2 gets a different question. Whose turn is it? It's your turn.
Are there specific areas of city government that you believe need to be improved? If so, how would you improve them?
Well,
All right. All right. So,
we were taking turns earlier, and the order might have been mixed up a little bit, but we're good.
all right. So, like I was talking about earlier, the three main areas, infrastructure improvements, that's a big one. The mayor is doing a great job, and the city council is as well. All right. But yeah, another thing is just working together with the three bodies here, the city council, the POA, and the ACC. They're three organizations that when they work together, it works well. But if they start to come apart on something, then it really derails the situation. But with that, it's just communication. The mayor does a great job. I met with him multiple times, and I asked him, and he says, oh yeah, I was talking to John the other day, or I was talking to Tom the other day. And so we have good communication there between the three areas of government, but really it's just bringing in the right businesses and doing it the right way, while also keeping taxes as low as we can, and keeping the budget where we are. It's increased 2.6% next year for the revenues, so hopefully we can continue that trend.
So specific areas of the city government that I believe need to be improved, without a question, and it's the primary driving force for why I'm running for city council, is the concept that keeps coming up, economic development. It seems to be a pretty agreed upon direction that we need to take as a city. It's been that way for the last several years, and I believe my involvement with some of the things I've been involved with over the last 10 years have really equipped me to understand the avenues to take to try to bring about the economic development that I think we're striving for. I think one of the first pieces is to clarify what that looks like. Right now, I know every one of us probably pictures something different when we say economic development. So I think one of the first steps would be to hold public input sessions, stuff like that, to gather more input, to try to finalize and solidify what exactly we want the future of Bella Vista to become in regards to economic development, infrastructure, businesses, and I would like that vision to go big, not limited based on what we currently have within our budgets and stuff like that, but to shoot for what we would most desire to see. Then the second step would be working with, obviously, our multiple governing bodies, the POA, Cooper Communities, our city, our residents, to see if there's any limitations to that plan, but then also to see if there's other entities that might be willing to help us pursue these endeavors. So obviously the goal would be to not be funding it out of our own pockets, to capitalize on resources available in our neighboring community areas. So I think that'd be the main one, is trying to take an active role and helping us stop talking about economic development, but actually take steps to, and I know steps are already being taken, but to really increase that and create a solid vision and propel that for the future of Bella Vista.
I think growth in Bella Bella Vista is really twofold. It's growth in terms of the residential base. The residential base is an important for businesses. They talk about nose counts, vehicle traffic, and these kinds of things in order to establish a basis. I know that if you talk with any of the fast food chains, they'll say, well, how many people live within so many miles of that particular site that they're looking at? If they don't have enough population count, it's not a viable site for them. And so it's important for Bella Vista to grow resident-wise, but it's also important for us to generate more additional tax revenue from business growth that generates tax revenue. Fast food places, restaurants, other service enterprises, and we have, with the trail system that started, we have a need, really, for support services for those trails. As Chris pointed out earlier, if we had a hotel, people would be staying here. Cooper has built some places in Blowing Springs and over on Kingsland for folks who are coming in to use the trails to lodge. And we have vacation rentals, but that's not necessarily the greatest thing for them because it's not quite as flexible in terms of coming and going. So we need support services for some of those things that we have facilities here for, to invite them and spend their money in Bella Vista. So business growth and development is critical, but also nose counts are important for us as well for those businesses to establish. A part of that is having our own water system. There's land areas in the city that cannot be serviced or won't develop without having a municipal water supply. Bella Vista POA is restricted in terms of who they can serve. If you're not a POA designated lot, you don't get water service. That's just the way it is. You can't beg, buy, borrow, or steal it. You just don't have public water service. And so it's important for the city to develop their own. I'm a very strong supporter of that because I think that's a key for us to develop some land areas that are viable, are readily available. Highway 71 in the corridor is an example of that. Cooper has some land on one side, we have land on the other side. It's not Cooper controlled. So that's my view.
And Ward 3.
I drew last time, you guys.
You drew last time.
Now do it again.
Do it again. I did it again. Always on the table. They're all easy.
Are you a proponent of economic development in Bella Vista? What? Oh, yeah. Or would you like to keep it a bedroom community? Good question, Steve.
Well, I've been thinking a lot about growth in Bella Vista. First of all, I think we ought to start off with recognizing that we have growth. It's happening. And that's a function of the fact that this is a really cool place to live. People want to live here. They want to join us. We've got a good thing going and people want to come here. So growth is happening. Our revenue as a city has been on an upward trend for the last 3 years. This serves us well. Is it ever enough? No. We still have to be smart about how we spend that money. I believe in managed growth. So growth for the sake of growth is not good growth. I think we need to really be mindful of the kinds of things we want to encourage and the impacts those things can have on the quality of our life here. I think there are growth traps out there for us. If you're not careful about where you inspire growth, then you can have problems with things like crime. Today we're a really safe community by any relative measure, but we should never take that for granted. We have traffic congestion already today. It could be a lot worse. Okay? We need to be careful about that. We need to be mindful, again, about our traffic flows and our intersections, and we need to anticipate that there are going to be more cars on our roads 2 years from now than there are today. We need to be mindful about what kind of zoning we have to encourage business? Yes, we want business. We want to grow our tax base. But again, not any growth just for the sake of growth. Let's be careful about how we zone things so that we have businesses in the right areas, so that our residences are still, we can all hang on to the things that we love about Bella Vista. That is that we live in a very natural area that's spectacular for the natural resources that we have. It's amazing what we have. We are rich in natural resources. We have the hills, the woods, the lakes, the creeks, the waterfalls that people come from all over the state to see. And we have them right around where we live. So I want to protect those things. Yes, I believe in growth, and growth is happening, whether we like it or not. So I think it's a function of managing growth and getting the right kinds of growth for Bella Vista.
You know, it's going to seem a little like I'm saying what a lot of people have said, but I do want to make the statement. We are not Bentonville. We are not Rogers. We don't even want to be that. We want to be who we are. And Steve's absolutely right. This is a beautiful place. I'm a master naturalist, so I'm all about the trails, the beauty of the place, the fact that the garden clubs, for instance, have decided to put up all these Bella Vista daffodils. Many of you know about those. They're all out in front of the city hall. I want to see when people come across that line, like they do in Texas for the blue waterfalls, I want to see that place looking gorgeous. That's growth. That's beauty. That's maintaining the integrity of Bella Vista. But it takes money. It takes businesses. It takes a lot of different things. So I don't think we can compare ourselves to anybody else. Yes, we need economic development. It is critical to us no matter what.
It would be very easy to say, me too. To expand on that a little bit, there's no danger in Bella Vista becoming the industrial mecca of Arkansas. We will always be a bedroom community because that's the way it's going to be managed and expanded and so on. Yeah. My wife says I have to drive 4 miles to get a tomato. A lot of people in Bella Vista drive 3 times that to get a tomato. We could double the amount of commercial businesses in Bella Vista, and we still wouldn't be anything other than a better served bedroom community. We would still be beautiful Bella Vista with the daffodils, with the trails, with all of the trees and things that we enjoy, but a little more convenience for those that are here. And a little more convenience that would allure others to come here. And that's what we're all about. Thank you.
We're going to change it up just a little bit now. They didn't know we were going to do this. We only have about 7 minutes left. Does any one person want to ask any one person here a question? Oh my goodness, nobody has.
There we go.
Joseph.
Can I ask them all a very easy question?
Sure.
Will you raise taxes?
Will you raise taxes? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
You want to ask everybody?
Immediately, eventually, all taxes are going to go up. All costs go up. Everything that you buy goes up. Do you want to raise? You have to have one. Taxes is what we live on, so that we can serve you. So the answer is yes, eventually.
I'm a fiscal conservative. It's the last
Save
option.
electricity.
Well done. fiscal conservative, it's the very last option. I think we have a lot of resources available to us today. As I've said, our revenue's gone up every year. I don't see the need for that.
Only in the interest of the voters wanting to raise taxes for a particular purpose would I support it. Right now, I don't have a basis to support any tax increases for the city. I think we have good revenues. We do have certainly an overabundance of projects, but the answer would be no.
I would agree with the answer of no. I believe that the economic development potentials we have could fully be generating the kind of revenue we would otherwise possibly seek through taxes or bonds or some other source. But I believe that a tax revenue, sales tax revenue especially, is the pathway to take to get the funds we want to do the things we want to do for serving our community.
Christian?
No. I can see our sales tax revenue going, just or keep increasing over the next couple of years. So my immediate answer would be no, because I would want to get a lot of community input before we do anything like that. And just not one, we need to have them like 3 or 4 before we put a vote out to it.
I think it's always a mistake to say you'll never raise taxes. I am a fiscal conservative and I like to keep costs down. I do have a prejudice in favor of the type of taxes that people vote on. And there's some taxes we can just raise them. And there's other taxes where we ask you and you vote on it. So if we do that, you're the one that decided to raise taxes, not me.
It would hurt my heart very deeply if I had to say yes. So, it's a soft no.
I'm just going to echo what John said. It's not up to council. It's entirely up to you folks. You know, we've got the 5-year development plan that we're working on. That'll be shown to you. You'll have an opportunity to comment on it and tell us what you want and tell us what you don't want. It's as simple as that. And, you know, you've heard the word bond. If you get a bond, you got to pay it back. And, you know, so there's a tax. So it can't be just the city council saying, okay, well, we're going to do this. Because even by law, we have to approach you and say, what about this? Yes or no? What about this? Yes or no? And then do you agree that we should be raising the taxes to pay for this, this, and this? And that's the way it works, and that's the best way it's going to work, because council should never, ever have the ability to raise sales taxes. The community has to decide what they want and what the vision is and what the future is. And by golly, we will work together and we'll get it done. Thank you.
You should feel very powerful. Yes, ma'am.
So are you guys for the bike trail on the west side?
Are you for, the question was, are you for the bike trails on the west side? And that's another yes or no. We've got just about time to go down. Let's start on this end this time.
Okay, the west side is not under development at the moment. It's the central part of the city?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Perfect.
Yes, I am in favor.
I'm in favor of the vote next year.
Yes, I'm in favor of the trails on the west side, the current ones.
There's actually a gentleman that reached out to all of us and asking if we were in favor or we weren't in favor, and I replied a very long message explaining to him, and then I had a yellow color, mostly supports, because I do support the trails and I love the trails, but I just want to make sure everything is legal if that happens.
I do support the Central Trail System.
I also support the Central Trail System, and you know, I think it goes back to that economic development. I really believe trails are economic development for our community. We don't see it directly by charging people money for using the trails, but indirectly there's increased revenues, and I think it's important we try to capitalize on those potentials. And I love them.
I support the trails plan that's been adopted. I think that Brent has a key point of trying to capitalize on revenue from that source.
I'm very pro back 40. I love to spend time out in the back 40 trails. I think you'd have to say for me, I'm pro back 40 and then I'm pro planning. And that's to say that I think additional trails are, the time will be right for that. I think it's important for us, again, to assess those impacts for additional trails now. Is now the right time? So I think there are a number of questions that we have to answer as a city to make sure we're prepared for what I think is an additional incoming traffic and people visiting here, because we're already on the map as a cycling destination. And if we build 50 more miles, then we're going to be that much more on the map. Are we ready for that? Are we ready? Do we have a hotel? Do we have a place where those people can stay? So that for what these people, what everybody's been talking about, the economic development, can we realize the payoff at this point? Or is there more work for us to do with our developers to put infrastructure in place before we build more trails?
Jack?
I said yes once before to the other question, I'll say yes again.
Judy?
Absolutely. I kind of believe, I'm probably not going to get this right, Mayor, so forgive me, but I believe you said something earlier about they will come and we will build.
Close. That'll work, JB.
All right, I want to thank you all for being here. I want you to vote wisely. And I think we have 2 people here who are running for Benton County offices. If you'd like to stay and chat, raise your hands. All right? And for other offices?
Oh, I'm going for state rep.
Oh, a state rep, okay. If you'd like to stay and chat with them, feel free to do so. If you'd like to, oh, yeah, JB has
I do have a really good piece of information for any of you that want it. I have permission to pass these out tonight. This just tells you the
it's not
difference.
election information.
No, it isn't. It's the difference between what the city does, what the POA does, and what the ACC does. And on the back side of it is where to go for a permit. You don't have to agree with what it says, but these are the rules.
These are the rules.
They're right here. I don't know if you're in.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your time.